I'm going to show you exactly how to give effective feedback to employees. The kind that builds trust, improves performance, and reinforces your culture. Now, most leaders get this wrong. They either avoid feedback altogether or they deliver it in a way that, well, shuts people down. So stay to the end, because I promise I'm going to reveal to you the one mindset shift that will turn even the toughest conversations into moments of genuine growth and show your team that you believe in them. So if you're ready to lead like a pro, hit that like button, drop a comment with your biggest leadership challenge, and subscribe so you never miss a leadership breakthrough. Feedback isn't a chore. It's a leadership discipline. It's how we build people. It's how we reinforce standards. And it's how we create a culture where performance is expected and growth is inevitable. See, your team doesn't grow in silence. They grow through repetition, clarity, and encouragement. And feedback is the fertilizer for growth. So when we avoid feedback, we're not being kind. We're being neglectful. So here's the real issue. Too many managers only give feedback when something goes wrong. They treat excellence, or even just doing it correctly, as just doing your job. It's what's expected. And therefore, it goes unnoticed. Meanwhile, every single mistake gets called out. And that teaches people to lay low rather than to take initiative. And when correction does happen, well, frankly, it's usually vague or emotional. Things like, you need to step up. Step up? Where? How? Worse, some leaders deliver feedback as punishment. Now, that's not leadership. Frankly, that's ego. At Locked On Leadership, we use two distinct frameworks that ensure your feedback does what it's supposed to do, builds trust, reinforce accountability, and improve performance. For corrective counseling, we use the DRILL framework to get rid of behaviors that are non-productive or unwanted. If we want to reinforce behaviors so they're repeated, we then use the LASR framework. Each has a different purpose, but they do share one foundation in common. They are both designed to build that person up, not tear them down. So if you lead people, whether you're a CEO, manager, vice president, team lead, supervisor, it doesn't matter. And you avoid the tough conversations, or you feel your praise falls flat and feels flat and disingenuous to you, or you're frustrated because in spite of all the conversations you've had, you keep getting the same mistakes over and over with no improvement. These frameworks are going to change how you lead. How do I know this? Well, my name's Dave Rosenberg, and I am a former U.S. Navy officer. I've been the president of 4 companies, and I'm the architect of the Radical Accountability Leadership Doctrine. And I've worked with leaders across industries and across this country build cohesive, high-performing teams using these same frameworks. You know, I stepped in as a COO once at a digital marketing agency. The company had a revolving door of writers. The quality of work was, well, inconsistent at best. And frankly, morale was suffering. Once we implemented these frameworks, we didn't lose a single writer, and our work product dramatically improved in quality. See, that's the power of effective feedback. So let's walk through these frameworks, starting with the most important principle, and it's common to both of these frameworks. That's your intention, your intent. See, your intent must always be to build the individual up, not vent your frustration, not assert control, not take credit. It's not about you. It's about them. It's not about making yourself feel better. It's about helping them become better. And that's why I don't call these disciplinary meetings. It sets the wrong signal. I call them corrective counseling sessions. We are counseling people because we're not here to punish. We are here to counsel someone to rise, to make and meet their expectations and yours, to reach their fullest capabilities. So here's what that looks like. I use the DRILL framework, as I mentioned before, when someone misses the mark and they're coachable and worth developing. Now note here, if they're not coachable, it means they aren't really engaged and deserve the opportunity to become engaged at another company. Always give your corrective counseling privately. Now, you may need to have a witness for risk management purposes, and if you do, make sure it's not one of their peers, and preferably it's somebody neutral, whenever possible. And we want this private so that the recipient is open and not defensive. So the D in DRILL stands for deficiency identified. This is where we want to tell them the specific behavior we want them to correct. Notice I said behavior, not attitude. We don't know someone's attitude. We infer it, but we don't actually know. But you cannot argue with behavior. Your report was submitted 2 days late. Can't argue with that fact. There may be reasons, there may be excuses, there may be all sorts of things, but the fact is that report was 2 days late. That delay caused the team to miss the client deadline. So we're talking about what is the behavior and its effect on everybody. We're getting people to think outside of themselves, how their actions affect others. R, what is the required action? How are we going to correct this in the future? We want to give them the skills, tools, whatever it takes so that this does not happen again. So we're setting them up for future success. In this case, I might say, you need to tell me if you don't think you can meet a deadline, or if you believe you have too much on your plate when an assignment is given. Then we can have a discussion about where your priorities lie, or I could get you some help. Don't just blindly accept assignments because they're handed to you. See, we're defining what must change. The I stands for instructions and resources. We also want to give them the ability, not just what we're telling them today, but where do they go to get the skills or the knowledge that they need so this doesn't happen again? Maybe Karen is really good at time management and never misses an assignment. So I might say, hey, we have time management training available. Or connect with Karen. She's agreed to share with you how she manages her assignments, and she's never late. We're setting people up for success. We're giving them the resources available. Provide the support they need to succeed. Now, the first of our 2 L's, limited time frame. Right? They don't have forever to make this correction. Let them know there's a deadline here. In some cases, it may be a month, a week, 2 weeks, depending on what it is. In this particular case, you can't be late again. There are certain behaviors that cannot be tolerated more than once. You need to set the urgency. That time frame needs to be sufficient for them to develop the skills necessary to achieve the end result. So if somebody's short in their sales numbers, for example, you need to give them some time potentially to develop that pipeline. The last L, what are the lasting consequences? We need them to know, in no uncertain terms, what failure looks like as well. Should they not rise to their challenge, what will the results be? Could be an assignment someplace else, could be a lack of future growth. That's up to you and your policies and how you deal with people who are underperforming. In a case like this, I might say, if you're late on another assignment, we'll need to find a role that better fits your bandwidth. And if it's not available, your employment will be terminated. Now, if we're clear on the change they need to make, and we offer real support, and they fail to improve, we're not imposing that consequence on them. They're volunteering for it, aren't they? That's something they are choosing. And for me, that takes the weight off my shoulders. That's how we counsel people to step up or frankly step out. Most of the time they step up. When you tell people what they need to do to succeed, they typically will do it. And if they don't, it's because they don't want to or they're not capable of. In either case, they're in the wrong job. All right, so now when someone performs well, we use LASR or laser guided praise. So LASR is an acronym, LASR, and we use this to reinforce the wins and embed the behavior into your culture that you want to see repeated. Now, praise is best when given publicly. When other team members see that these behaviors are worthy of praise, they'll emulate it. Psychologists call that observational learning. And that's one way to reinforce positive behavior and drive it into your culture. The L stands for limited to the individual or team who performed well. If a team does well, but you go to everybody, hey, great job, team, we were able to bring this project home, but 4 people were involved and 16 people were not, those 4 people feel like you just gave their hard work away to somebody else. But when you say, John, Sally, Marianne, Bill, you did a great job bringing this project home. All of a sudden, those 4 people, they're esteemed. They feel like, yeah, I got recognized. You want to limit it to the people who actually earned it. No carpet bombing praise. A, about the company's core values. See, everything praiseworthy is done because it represents or reflects one of your core values. If you don't bring that to the fore, what you're really saying is that our values aren't important. So make sure you say something like, you really demonstrated ownership, one of our core values, when you took on that client problem. S, specific to the behavior you want reinforced. Call out exactly what they did. You know, you jumped in when you saw that Mary was struggling and you worked with the client and solved the problem even though it wasn't your phone call. And that's taking ownership. And then you documented that fix so that other people know what you did in the future and they can learn from that. Now we've taken the people, the values, and what they did to demonstrate those values, and everybody has heard that. The R, it stands for real-time recognition. As close to the event as possible. This is July when I'm recording this. If you did something worthwhile last Thanksgiving and I bring it to your attention today, I may as well not bother. Every praiseworthy event needs to be recognized as soon as possible. If you plan on giving an award for it of some sort, give an informal recognition at the time and then reinforce it with the award later. Both frameworks share this one truth. This is not about judgment. It's about development. Now, I promised you the one mindset shift that's going to change everything for you. And it's simply this. Feedback is not about control. It's about coaching. It's not about putting people in their place. It's about helping them find their place and realize their potential. When you adopt that mindset, feedback becomes something you look forward to and not avoid. And they look forward to it as well because they know it's going to make them better. It's not about who's right. It's about helping people rise. And that is what leadership is all about. That's how you give effective feedback to employees. Here's what I want you to do. You finish watching this video. Start watching every day for one thing to praise one person about every day. And slowly build that up so that you look for something to praise each member of your team about every day. It's a skill. The more you look, the better you'll get at it. Then, I also want to think about somebody who might need a course correction. And before you sit them down to have that counseling conversation, sit down yourself and write out drill, exactly what you want to say. And then follow up and support them. And then hold them accountable and repeat as necessary, and you will see great improvement. Now, these are 2 of the 10 frameworks that I have available. If you want the full set of tools, I've got it for you. Drill and LASR both exist within my Locked On Radical Accountability Tactics Guide. And if you go to my webpage and sign up for my newsletter, you'll be able to download these 2 along with the 8 other frameworks to help you become a Locked On leader. If you like this video, please comment below as well as select like. And then if you want more videos like this to help you convert your team into a radically accountable team that willingly does what they're supposed to do, when they're supposed to do it with pride and precision, subscribe to this channel.